بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. So last week we stopped at the beginning of the chapter of Al-Imama. Faslun fil Imama. Who should or who has the most right to lead the prayer? Who should be leading the salah? How do we usually determine who leads the salah if it's time to pray for the brothers? Huh? No. If we line up right now and it's time to lead the salah, or you in a random place, right? How do we usually determine who leads the salah?
Who look like they got the dig the most?
Who look like they possibly offer looks, maybe, right? We talking about we don't know the people. Allah, we don't know who we're dealing with. Let's just say, you know what I'm saying, we out in the park, we at the mall, it's a bunch of Muslims, you walk by, you get ready to pray, right? Somebody got to lead the salah. Somebody has to lead the salah. So the question is, in that case, how do we usually judge who's going to lead?
Right?
Huh?
You acting like what we do or what we supposed to do?
No, what do we do? Realistically, what we really do? Huh? Probably maybe the oldest. Some people might say the oldest. Maybe who you think has the most knowledge in the room, right? Most people want to assume. What do most people assume? Huh? Well, none of us got clothes on. Most brothers do what when it's time to lead? What do most brothers do when it's time to lead the salah? Huh? No, they don't go up there. They go back.
No, in America, they go up.
Most people don't want to lead the salah. Everybody's standing around looking up and down the line. All right? They line up and everybody's looking to see who's going to lead the salah. And then we might choose based on what somebody looks like, or some people might say, well, let the older brother lead the salah. But this chapter is who has the most right to lead, who should be leading the salah and who shouldn't be, who should be leading the salah and who shouldn't be. He says, Al-Awla bil-Imama al-Aqra al-Alimu fiqh salatihi. The first person who should be leading the salah, who has the most right to lead the salah, is the one who is, as he says, al-Aqra, the one who is skilled in recitation of the Quran. They're skilled in reciting the Quran. And along with that, they understand the fiqh of the salah. Meaning they understand if they make a mistake in the salah, how to fix it. If they miss a rak'ah, what are they supposed to do? If they miss a sajda, how to fix it. If they miss the tashahhud, what you supposed to do? Clear?
When you say skilled, do you mean who sounds the best or who the best proper technique?
Good question. What does skilled mean? Skilled. Skilled. Learn. What did they learn? Because some people, like he said, some people might think whoever got the best voice should be leading the salah. Some people have nice voices and they don't know how to recite. They chop it up real bad. Right? Real bad. But their voice, mashallah, they got a good voice. So skilled meaning that they learned the science of tajweed. Does everybody know what tajweed is? Tajweed? Huh? If you don't know, tajweed is the science. It's a science in itself. Just like studying hadith is a science, right? Tajweed is a science of how to properly recite the Quran, how to pronounce the letters, and how to read the ayat and everything that comes along with that. That's a whole section of study by itself. That's a whole science by itself, okay? Studying tajweed, how to pronounce the words and the letters of the Quran, doesn't mean that the person understands what they're saying. So yeah, it's the difference between saying it right and understanding the meaning behind it. They're not the same. So yeah, this person, it doesn't necessitate that they understand what they're saying, but of course that's better. But the first person is that they're skilled in recitation of the Quran. They understand the rules of tajweed so that they're not, as we say, chopping it up. Along with that, they understand the fiqh of the salah, how to fix the salah if anything happens. After that, he says, ثُمَّ الْأَفْقَى. It's possible that is two people that are equal in the recitation of the Quran, right? If that's the case, then which one? Because the first one is that they're skilled in reciting the Quran, they understand the tajweed rules, right? They're able to use the tajweed rules, and they understand the fiqh of the salat by itself, just the salat. The second, let's say they're equal in that, then the next person who's up to lead the salat, who has the most right, is the one who's skilled in the Quran, and they have general more knowledge of the Islam in general. Clear? Meaning the first person, they had knowledge of the salat, the rules of the salat, how to fix them if they make a mistake. The second person has a lot more knowledge regarding the religion in totality. That's the next person that is that has the more right to lead the Quran. It says Thum al-Asan, and then the older person, the elder, the one who is oldest out of the group. One who's oldest out of the group. So yeah, this is assuming that they're equal in the first two. Everybody in the room can recite. Everybody in the room knows the rulings in the fiqh of the salat, how to fix the salat if you make a mistake. Or everybody in the room has general knowledge of the deen, right? Now who's next? The eldest of that group of people. Clear? A lot of times we go straight to who the oldest. Well, the oldest don't know how to recite the Quran, so he shouldn't be leading the salat. Clear? Or who sounds the best? Sometimes people gauge the Quran on how a person sounds, their voice meaning. The voice is not the gauge. The voice is not the gauge. The gauge is, are you pronouncing the words correctly? Is the tajweed correct when they're reciting? That's the gauge. It's possible somebody's tajweed is good, mashallah, but their voice is not as pleasing as somebody else's voice. Somebody else might have a nicer voice when they recite, right? But when he recites or she recites, maybe she recites or he recites without the tajweed, which is a problem. That's a problem. So those are the first three. After the elder, or the eldest, not the elder. They don't have to be old, y'all. Meaning whoever's older. So if it's people, nobody's over 20 years old, right? You got people from 15 to 20 years old. Elder in this case is the 20-year-old. All right. The next person, Thum al-Ashraf. Thum al-Ashraf. And they say this is the one who has the best, the one who has the whose lineage is connected to the lineage of the Prophet ﷺ. And some of the scholars have said, if this is not the case, then out of the group of people, who accepted Islam first? Clear? Meaning, it's 5 people. One person's been Muslim for 20 years, and the other people been Muslim for between 5 to 10 years. They're equal in everything else. The Muslim who's been Muslim the longest should lead the salah. Clear? So yeah, that's assuming that they're equal in all of the other 3. Right? All of them know how to recite. All of them know how to the fiqh of the salat. All of them have knowledge of the deen. All of them are the same age. Right? So yeah, in that case, well, who accepted Islam first? A lot of the ulama say that would take the place of the al-Ashraf. In some books, they do mention that tayyib. And there's 2 more. Thum al-Atqa. He says after that, the one who al-Atqa has the most fear of Allah Jalla wa Ala. How can you determine who has the most fear of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala? Because they say al-Atqa, the one who has the most fear of Allah Jalla wa Ala. How do we determine that? Huh? So yeah.
I think it's not known as set.
The one who has maybe the best reputation religiously. The best reputation religiously. Who has a good reputation religiously. All we can go is what's apparent. We don't know what people do when they go home and go in their house behind closed doors. That's not our business. Our business is what's apparent, what's in front of us, right? And a lot of times we judge people based on how they carry themselves, right? And then we'll make a judgment on that. So we'll assume, the assumption is that the way that she carries herself or the way that he carries himself, that they're better than me, right? Because they have qualities, they do stuff that I don't do. I'm trying, but you know what I'm saying? I didn't get there yet. So a lot of times that's the gauge. And Allah Ta'ala alam. It says, Thumma man qara'. After that, the last thing is, if they're equal in all of those things, then they will call what they say to draw lots or cast lots. You know, draw lots.
That's
Huh?
what the prophet is, right?
Yeah, you know how you like hold the joints in your hand. You know what I'm talking about? If you had a bunch of pencils in your hand, and whoever you say, all right, whoever picked the shortest pencil is gonna lead the salat. And 4 brothers pick out a pencil, whoever got the shortest, they lead. That's because they're equal in all of those things. But what if none of the brothers in the room or the sisters in the room really have any of those qualities? They don't know tajweed. They don't know how to fix the salat. They're all really equal on the same level, right? Then we're just going to go down the line. What's going to distinguish who leads? At that case, it might come to who's older, right? Because none of us really know how to recite. None of us really have knowledge of this. None of us know how to play it. Well, who's older? Or we're all the same age. Well, who accepted Islam first? That's further down. طيب. He says, وصاحب البيت وإمام المسجد أحق وحر ومقيم وبصير أولى من ضدهم. These people have more of a right to lead than the opposite. Number 1, صاحب البيت, a person's house. No person has the authority, the right to walk into a brother's house or a sister's house, or you're at somebody's house, they invite you to an iftar, it's time to pray Maghrib. You at somebody else's house and you walk up like you're gonna lead the salat in their house. Right? Everybody with me? Who has more right to lead the salat in their own house? Whoever's house it is. Assuming y'all, and this takes humility, and the person gotta humble themselves and know, as we say, you gotta know your lane. If you know that you never studied Quran and studied tajweed, if you know you never sat down and took time to learn the Quran and really learn how to recite properly, and you invite people to your house and you know there's people there that recite better than you, you need to let the people that recite better than you lead the salat. That's for the persons whose house it is. That's their call. You with me? Everybody clear? That takes, I know, you ain't got to say it, but you know, all right, there's people here better than me. Let me fall back. Let me let somebody else lead, because I know I'm not really.
If you at somebody's house, like, you know how I say you're in the masjid, and it might not be no man right there. So somebody say, oh yeah, you should lead, and you be like, nah, I'm cool. If you at somebody's house and they offer an order, like, can you turn down it from the person whose house it is? You're like, nah, I'm good. You
can, but let's just be real. Who gonna do it? If you don't do it, if the person turned around and the assumption is that you're better. If I don't know everybody in the room, but I know you better than me. I don't really know about the rest of these people. I know you better than me though, and I know I ain't right. And I designate you. I say, yo, you need to right? I give you the okay in my house. You say, nah, but you know and I know that you're better than me. You out of pocket, right? That's out of pocket. You know you better than me. I know you better than me, but you're gonna say no. So now what I'm supposed to do? Pick somebody else that is a question mark. They might be worse than me, right? And if they're worse than me, and it's my house, then they definitely worse than you. You know what I'm saying? So the responsibility is on the men. It's on the men. It's on us. It's our responsibility to lead the salat. If we haven't sat in any Quran classes, we should, so that we don't have that problem when we get into those situations. So the person whose house it is has the most right to lead the salat. If they give another person permission, that's no problem. Well, Imam al-Masjid, the Imam of the Masjid. The Masjid has the Imam, then the Imam of the Masjid has the right to lead the salat. He designates who leads the salat in his absence, or if he's late, or whatever comes along with that. Meaning a person can't come in any masjid, like people used to do, and just line up and say the Imam here, shout out, we just gonna pray Jama'ah, and I'm gonna lead, call it Al-Thamaraat. Many of the scholars say that salat is not valid. The salat doesn't count. To go and intentionally pray ahead of the Imam al-Ratib, meaning there's a designated Imam for that masjid, that he has the right to lead the salat. Tayyib. These are people who have the right to lead over their opposite, meaning the free person has more right to lead the salat than a person who's a slave. Doesn't mean a slave can't lead the salat, but the one who's free has more right to lead over the slave. The muqim has more right to lead over the traveler. The person who's a resident has more right to lead over a person who's just traveling through the city. Everybody clear? What happens when the traveler leads the salat?
Sure.
They shorten the prayer, and then a lot of people behind them don't know what to do. So we pray in Dhuhr or Isha. The person leading the salat is a traveler. He salams out after 2 rak'ah because he's traveling. People behind him, everybody don't know what to do. So some people that's not traveling, they live here in Philly, they salam out right with them and didn't finish each shot. Right? Is the traveler allowed to lead the salat? And there's other people that, yes, they can. They said, who is it better for? It's better that the person that's a resident of the area to lead the salat. And the person who has sight, who can see, it's better for them to lead the salat than the person who doesn't have sight, the person who's blind. It's better for them to lead. Now he moves to the section of who is the salat not valid behind. There's a group of people that we're not allowed to pray behind. It says number one, لا تصح ولا تصح خلف فاسق. The person who is a sinner, khuruj an الطاعة. The person who is not, if we say they're not really dealing like that, right? But that varies according to who you talk to. And this is why some of the ulama say that that the salat behind a sinner does count. They say it does count. And the Shaykh Al-Thamaraat rahimahullah said, he said if we use the first one, that you can't pray behind a person who like sins like that, it's going to be difficult to find imams to lead the salat. It's going to be difficult. He said that the second opinion, which is that it does count, is it better? Not better, but it counts. The fact is that the salat is valid. What's better? It's not better. It's never better, y'all, that we put somebody who all over the internet with no shine is being disobedient to Allah. People don't even know they Muslim. And then because you know they Muslim, or certain people know they Muslim, when they come around, they treat them like gold. Right? They did everything under the sun and showed the whole world. Then when they come around, mashallah, like nothing never happened. And then tell them to leave the salat. No, not in that case. Everybody understand? He says, وَلَمْرَأَةٍ, and a woman is not to lead men in the salat. It is not valid to pray a salat behind a woman. You can't let your wife lead the salat, or you can't let your daughter, because she knows more Quran than you. Our recitation is better. Your daughter's a Hafiz Quran. She can't lead a man in the salat. He says, وَلَا خُنْثَ لِرَجُلٍ. Also, a khuntha, hermaphrodite. Everybody know hermaphrodite? Not both sexes. A person that has two private parts, two organs, a male organ and a female organ. They got a penis and a vagina. That person that's born like that with the penis and the vagina does not lead a man in the salat. Clear? Question. The person with the two organs, that's it. The one with two organs, is it a male or a female? Huh? No, mashallah. Whatever. No, this is the question. Is it a male or a female? Huh? Mashallah. It has to be, a research has to be done to figure out which one it is. It's done. It can be, it ain't like you can't find out, right?
It depends on which way they can reproduce.
Mashallah. The original body part. Well, how do they find that out? One of them does. Both of them work. What if both of them work?
If they both work, it's a quality mushkil.
طيب. Point being, that's a good discussion because it happens and it's important. It's important in other areas of the deen outside of the salat. When you get into inheritance and stuff like that, it's because they have two male organs. That don't mean they're not a male or a female. They're either a male or a female. And it has to be determined which one they are so that they get the proper inheritance when somebody dies in their family. So it's important. And there's different ways that they use, they discuss finding out. Yes.
What happens after they got the surgery and everything? Are they allowed to leave? Contingent upon them being a man.
If they got their surgery?
Yeah, you can't like I went.
What you mean?
A You know, saying that you heard of
You
one.
said a kunfi, they can't leave the salah. Looks like.
A man. They can't lead a man in salah.
Looks like that's it.
Kill it. Kill it. Yeah. Inshallah. طيب. ولا صبي لبالغ. ولا صبي لبالغ. And that a young boy who has not reached the age of puberty, the young boy who has not reached the age of puberty should not be leading men who reach the age of puberty, or men. All right, you got a couple different stages. You got kids that are between the age of 1 to 7, which are under the age of tamyiz. Then you have another stage from 7 to puberty. Between 7 and puberty, right, they haven't reached the age of puberty. And then you have, of course, after puberty, which could be 12, 13, and grown people all together. They're all the same. The child that is between the age of 7 to until they reach puberty. So they're 9 years old and they haven't reached the age of puberty yet. They should not be leading people who have already reached the age of puberty, no matter how old they are. Not in an obligatory prayer. Clear? Not in an obligatory prayer. Because your son knows more Quran than you and he's 6, or sister, your daughter knows more Quran than you and she's 8, right? She can't lead you in Dhuhr. She can't lead you in Asr, right? Everybody clear? Now, when it comes to voluntary prayers, that's a different situation that we're not getting into right now. Like a voluntary prayer like Taraweeh. That's why sometimes you see kids leading Taraweeh. Taraweeh is not an obligatory prayer. And just to make a quick point, Taraweeh is not obligatory, y'all. If you praying Taraweeh prevents you from getting up to pray Fajr, maybe you shouldn't be praying Taraweeh to the end. Taraweeh, Salat al-Taraweeh on Ramadan is not more important than Salat al-Fajr. Salat al-Taraweeh, 11 rak'ah, extra. These are extra. Those extra rak'ah are not more important than the rak'ah to Salat, rak'ah to Fajr, the obligatory rak'ah to Fajr. Clear? طيب. He says, وَلَا أَخْرَس. And the person also that is, as they say, mute, the one who can't speak. The one who can't speak also should not lead the prayer. Also should not lead the prayer. طيب. It says, وَلَا عَاجِزْ عَنْ رُكْنٍ أَوْ شَرْطٍ إِلَّا بِمِثْلِهِ. Also, a person who's not able to complete certain aspects of the salah, meaning, and if it's a rukn, a pillar. So a person who's not able to, they have something preventing them. They're not able to go into ruku'. They can't bend down. Or they're not able to go into sajda. Right? Everybody with me? They shouldn't be leading the salah. Except if it's a bunch of people and none of them can go down in the ruku', none of them can go down in the sajda. Everybody clear? Because this is what happens sometimes. Sometimes we take and say, well, it's time to pray. We'll say, let the sheikh lead, because he's the oldest, he's the elder, right? Along with all the other stuff that he already spoke about, who should be leading the salat. He has something, he can't even make ruku'. He's not able to make ruku'. That means he's going to have to stand up the whole salat, or he's going to sit down, he's not going to sajda. If a person is prevented, they're not able to make ruku' or sajda, or they're not able to fulfill a condition of the salat, right? A condition of the salat is what? Name one condition before we pray. We have to do what? Make wudu. Let's just say they have an issue, health-wise, and water bothers them, whatever the case may be, whatever it is. If they can't fulfill a pillar or a condition, they shouldn't lead the salat. Clear? Everybody clear? Except if everybody there has the same condition. If everybody has the same condition, then somebody has to lead. We're not just going to sit around and be like, well, no, somebody has to lead the prayer as long as they all have the same condition. So the person, for example, because standing is also a pillar. To stand is a pillar of the prayer. So now let's say, and this is important when it comes to standing and not standing. So we said the person who can't perform a pillar like standing, then he shouldn't lead the prayer, right? Except in a case where it's the designated imam and he can't stand because, let's just say, for example, he was in an accident and he's healing, right? So it's going to take maybe it's going to take for him 2 weeks to heal. In 2 weeks, he's going to be standing back up. Everybody see what's going on? In 2 weeks, he'll be standing back up. This is the Imam al-Hayy al-Marju Zawal al-Mardihi. This is the Imam. He can't stand, but he's going to heal. He's going to get better, inshallah, and he'll be standing again. He said, in this case, yusalluna wallahu julusan nadba. In this case, if he came here and he led the salat sitting down, the Imam, the designated Imam, that what? He was in an accident, he hurt himself, but yes, he's going to heal within a week and a half, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, he'll be back to regular. He said, in this case, then it's recommended that the people pray behind him sitting down. Recommended. What does recommended mean? That it's not what? It's not obligatory, but if people sat down with him, then it would be no problem. Now pay attention. They say, وَإِنْ ابْتَدَأَ بِهِمْ قَائِمًا وَعَجَزَ فَجَلَسَ أَتَمُّوا خَلْفَهُ قِيَامًا. But if that Imam, he started out standing, that means everybody else has to do what? Stand with the ability to stand, right? As long as you got the ability to stand, you got to stand up. In obligatory prayers, if you have the ability to stand, you have to stand up. Like the Imam starts out standing in the salat. Midway through the salat, he's not able to stand. So he sits down and he finished the whole rest of the salat sitting down. What do the people behind him do? They keep standing. They keep standing. And as they say, wujub, and it's obligatory that they keep standing. Everybody clear? He started out, he was able to stand. Then something happened and he wasn't able to stand, so he sat down. So something changed. For the people behind him, that they continue to stand. Don't let me go. طيب. He said, وَلَا خَلْفَ مُحْدِث أو نَجِسٍ يَعْلَمُ ذَلِكَ. Also, the salat is not valid. The salat is not valid. La tasih. The salat is not valid behind the person who doesn't have wudu and they know they don't have wudu. Why would somebody do that is not the question. Somebody's standing there leaving the salat and they don't have wudu. Maybe they forgot. Right? They line up, they call the iqamah, and they don't have wudu. They leave the salat and they know they don't have wudu. Right? That the salat is not valid behind that person. Or they got najis on their clothes. Everybody know najis? Let's just say they got urine on their clothes. They were walking their dog that wasn't living in their house. Dog shouldn't be in the house, y'all. Dog should not be in the house. They were walking their dog who doesn't live inside the house with them. Right? The dog went to the bathroom and they got some urine on their sock or something. The dog went to the bathroom. I mean, they got to take their sock off. They can't pray with their sock like that. The person came and they prayed like that and they knew they was praying like that, which means that their salat is not going to be valid. Their salat is not valid. That the salat for the imam is invalid if he knows that. But for the people behind them who don't know, their salat is okay. The people who don't know, their salat is okay. But the one who knows, the salat is not valid. Yes.
What if you forgot?
Forgot when? When did he remember?
Maybe it was Maghrib time and he read Asr.
If it's Maghrib time and he forgot, then his salat is what? Not valid. But the people behind him, inshallah, theirs is valid, the people behind him. But the person who knows, and their salat is not going to be valid. If that's the case, they're going to need to pray over. The one who finds out, said, there, I wasn't able to do, they need to pray over. Yes.
Just a further going on with this question. So a person say they forgot, they make it up. They're not sinful though. The person does it deliberately, and he knows he's sinful as well, right?
Yes, to intentionally pray without wudu. I'm not mistaken, it might have been Shafi.
Cool.
Yeah, that was him.
Yeah.
Allah musta'an. طيب. It says, فَإِنْ جَاهِلَ مَعَ مَأْمُومٍ حَتَّى انْقَضَتْ صَحَتْ لِمَأْمُومٍ. So if they didn't know, and the people were praying behind them, and then they prayed the whole salat like that, right? The people that are praying behind them, that their salat is valid. Their salat is valid. He says, وَلَا إِمَامَةُ مَنْ لَا يُحْسِنْ الْفَاتِحَةِ. There is no salat. I'm sorry. The person who does not know how to recite Al-Fatiha. The person who does not know how to recite Al-Fatiha. Not know Al-Fatiha, y'all. Because if you ask any Muslim walking down the street, majority of people are going to say, Alhamdulillah, no. The person la yuhsin al-Fatiha, they have memorized al-Fatiha correctly. How do you know if you memorize al-Fatiha correctly? Huh? You have to sit with somebody who knows it, and they have to correct you to make sure you're saying it correct. Everybody clear? The person that does not perfected al-Fatiha, la yahsin al-Fatiha, should not be leading the prayer. Should not be leading the prayer. Or the person, yudghim ma la yudghim. The person who, when it comes to qira'ah, there's some letters in Arabic. When you read them and recite them, you join two letters together and it makes a specific sound. Right? Two letters, you join them together while you're reciting and it makes a specific sound in Arabic. Like the person, not all letters do that. There are only sometimes we do that, not all the time. So a person is doing that when they're not supposed to do it. Then they shouldn't be leading the salah. Clear? Which shows the importance of Quran classes that a lot of us don't give no importance to. How to recite the Quran, just how to recite it properly. Make sure you're reciting it correctly.
Question. Say if you go to the masjid, whoever leads the salah, just says we chant. You know what I'm saying? Do you correct them and say if they keep going? Once you pray over things, or it's out Fatiha, and like messed up, or
You said the joint was jack.
Like, I mean,
I've
been playing.
No, I'm just saying.
I want to say it like that, but
no, his joint is jack. You go somewhere in the masjid, the imam doesn't know how to recite al-Fatiha. His joint jammed up, like his joint is not. His qira'ah is not. It depends on how bad it is, right? Every mistake doesn't necessitate the salat is not valid. It depends on the mistake, where it is, and the details of that mistake. Not every mistake invalidates the salat from the area, from the angle of recitation. It depends. And he's going to get, it's going to come.
A lot of people say that specifically that not every mistake, Fatiha changes the meaning. What would be an example of a mistake that changes the meaning?
A mistake that changes the meaning, as they say, it changes the meaning, for example, where Allah uses a masculine pronoun. Iyaka na'budu. You alone we worship. Iyaka. A person says iyaki. It makes it feminine. Right? That change, that's, you with me? Okay, I don't know if everybody understood that.
what's the difference?
Allah. But the idea of changing the letter is the same. You could change one letter, it could change the whole meaning. That's the idea. You can change one letter, you pronounce the letter wrong, you could change the whole meaning. That's why sometimes the imam might read the same ayat over twice. Maybe he knows he said the wrong letter. Nobody else listening might not have caught it, but he knows that he said the wrong letter, so he might say it again, right? The idea is that it's very specific with the Quran. It's very specific. One letter could change the meaning. We'll stop there. We'll stop here in the section. The last one was the person who changes letters. It should be one letter and they recite another letter in place of it. That this person who does this, that they shouldn't be leading the salat. And it's only one exception to that rule, where letters are exchanged or letters are replaceable. Does anybody know the one place where you could change letters, where they allow letters to change? La. There's one letter in the alphabet in Al-Fatiha where they allow a person that if they said the wrong letter, it's okay. Anybody know? Well, if nobody knows, we'll leave it for homework till next week. Nobody? Any brave souls? There's one letter that if you pronounce the wrong letter in that case in Al-Fatiha, because it's the one letter, right, you recited something different. They say it's the one exception. Huh? Nah. Huh? The meme? Leave it for homework? It's a research for next week. Inshallah. Huh? What you say? What? La. One letter. It's a letter. You got to choose a letter from the alphabet. That in Al-Fatiha, if they said a different letter, they replace with a different letter, there's no problem.
Any other level?
It's a question, I think.
Me.
Meme? La, not me. Hey, we're leaving, inshallah, for next week. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى اله وصحبه وسلم.